Hello, everyone. Good afternoon and welcome. Doctor.
Just 1 second.
Okay.
I'm trying to share the presentation. Can you see my presentation now?
Yes, it is very clear. We can see it, Doctor.
Okay, good afternoon. Okay, how many participants we are expecting?
So far, we have only 12 at the moment, but some students just keep on coming. So hopefully it keep on increasing as the time goes by. I have one suggestion. If you are joining us with a different email apart from the university email, please write your name and your ID. In that case, we will able to list the attendance. Some people are joining with their personal account. Kindly write your name and your student ID or your staff ID if you are a staff. Thank you very much.
Okay, I will wait like 2-3 minutes.
Yes, I think that's fine. We can wait about maybe 2-3 minutes and we can kickstart.
Yep. Mustafa, are you going to stay with us?
Yes, I will stay with you guys the entire meeting.
Okay, so please, you can monitor the chat if there is any questions.
Yes, no problem.
Just highlight this to me so I can answer these questions, because they prefer to use the chat to ask questions.
Okay, that's right. No problem. I can do that.
Okay, guys, I'm just waiting for other participants. So we will start like in 1 or 2 minutes. Can you hear me clearly, guys?
Yes, we can hear you. And I think the participants have increased now to 19. It was 12, now it's 19. Hopefully in the next 1 minute, we will get 20 and we can start, inshallah.
Inshallah. So briefly, guys, today's presentation is about external grant writing proposals. But this presentation also very helpful for any grant writing proposal. So it's not necessarily external grant, even internal grant, you can, the same concepts are applied here as well. So you can write external or internal grant proposals using these that we will share with you today. So I will share with you my experience writing grant proposals. I already secured grants previously, and currently I'm working in some grants. And also I applied 3 months ago for internal grant, and I'm planning to apply for external grant in October. So I already written the proposal, just waiting for submission system to be open. So I will share with you my experience in writing these proposals, and I will give you some useful tips on how to write these proposals. Also, if we have enough time, I'll share with you on the screen one of my already funded proposals to see the structure of the proposal. Although in my presentation, I will explain to you the structure of the presentation, the structure of the proposal and what are the major parts in this grant proposals. But you need to check funding agency templates in order to write your proposals. But most likely you will find the structure as the structure that we will discuss today. Please, whenever you have questions, please, you can ask me to clarify anything while we go. Okay, so first of all, guys, what is a grant? So I think all of you know what we mean by a grant. So a mechanism by which an agency awards money to fund a research study or to fund activity or development of a new product or development of educational program or any service program or any research project. So this is the main idea of the grants. But also in the coming slides, you will see that it's not only about money, it could be other things we will explain in the coming slides. But it's, remember, the grant, it's not a gift. So you need to convince the awarding agencies on your proposal, and you need to convince them why to fund your proposal or to fund your idea. So public organizations or private organizations or even universities, they will not give you the money as a gift. So you need to convince them on why they should or why they should your proposal or fund your idea. We will explain this in the coming slides in more details. So why to apply for a grant? So for example, every year I apply for a grant. So someone might ask me why you always apply for grants. The first thing, guys, you need to keep in your mind that funded projects are main item in your CV. So it is good to have in your CV, to show in your CV that you already secured a funded project or secured a grant. Secondly, always when I do a research or when I do implement my project, I advance my scientific knowledge. So I have to do a lot of research. I have to maybe do collaboration with other staff members. Sometimes we supervise PhD students based on our funded projects. So always we advance our knowledge into new recent research areas. Also, when I apply for a grant, always I'm expecting that expert in the field will judge my idea. So if my proposal is funded, this means that my idea is great, my idea is worthwhile to be funded by either public or private organizations. The grant prestigious or a prestige for any institution, and also it's a prestige for us. And if you have a fund, this means that you are good in your field. This is a prestige to have it in your CV, or if you have like evaluation cycle, then it is a prestige to mention this in your evaluation report, and this will give you a credit. Also, the grants, and most of the universities and special educational or research institutions always encourage faculty members and PhD students to apply for grants, because this means that will contribute to the financial health of your institution. So, which means that, for example, UWI University always encourage us to apply for external fund, not for internal fund, because they will save money to spend on other priorities for the university. So if we get external fund, this means that our research will be funded by other institutions or another funding agencies, which means that this will contribute to the financial health of UWI University. Also, always keep in mind that when we get fund, this is an opportunity to hire research assistants. So we hire new people. Also, we can hire postgraduates, researchers, or postdoctoral positions. So we can fund these positions from our grants. Always, or sometimes the university, for example, let us talk about UWI University. Sometimes they spend money on, for example, labs or on hiring research assistants, but sometimes it's good to have external fund in order to cover all these expenses from outside fund or external fund, not from internal fund. Any questions so far? Okay, so this is the full story of a grant in short. So usually, guys, the first step is to find a funding agency. So we will talk about each of those steps in great details as we go. So first, you need to find a funding agency, either internal or external, or it could be a public or a okay. Secondly, if you find an opportunity for funding, then you need to prepare your proposal. Once you prepare your proposal, then you need to submit this proposal. Some agencies, especially the private sector, they require to submit your proposal through the email. But other agencies, for example, university, UWI University internal funding, or Aspire, or Sanduq Watan, you need to use a submission system in order to submit your proposal. You need to wait some time for the funding agency to complete reviews. Then either your proposal will be accepted or rejected. If accepted, then we have a post-award stages. So the first stage is to set up of your award. So for example, if your project is awarded or proposal awarded by UWI University internal fund, you need to go to the research office. You need to sign up a contract with them. They will give you detailed guidelines on how to run your project, how to hire a new research assistant or PhD or whatever. After that, you need to start your project, start implementing your project. At this stage, for example, here at UWI University, the research office will monitor your progress. Every 3 months or 4 months, you need to submit a report to the assistant dean in your college, and the assistant dean will submit this, will write comments. Is your progress is satisfactory, good, excellent, or unsatisfactory, and it will be submitted to a research office, and the research office also will add the comments and submit a report to a provost for research. Once you finish, guys, then you will close up your project. You need to write your final report about your grant at the end. So you need to show your achievements and outcomes. Did you achieve the outcomes or not? And how did you achieve these outcomes? Clear, guys? Any questions? Okay. When you keep silent, this means that there are no questions. So some of you might ask, I'm a PhD student, why to apply for a grant? Okay, so the main reason for PhD students to apply for a grant is this is a professional development. So it should be part of your professional growth strategy. So when you finish your PhD, if you have a grant in your CV, a funded project, this will give you a priority. Some organizations or institutions, special education, when you apply for a job, they will check if you have a grant. This will give you a credit. Also, you will build individual credentials. You keep track of your fund record and your CV. Also, you will work with a team. So you will work with experienced researchers, especially if there are collaboration with top institutions in UAE or outside UAE. So it's part of your professional development plan. Who gives the money? So we have, as I mentioned, guys, we have internal funding and we have external funding. So for example, here in UAE, we have internal funding. So you can go to the university website, you go to a research link. You will find opportunities for funding your idea or funding your research. So mainly research office, they announce for a cycle for funding cycles. Today, for example, I received an email from a research office that there is an opportunity for fund. So I haven't read through yet, but I will check that if it's aligned with my expertise, then I will. So this is the first step that I will find funding opportunity. So this is external. So the one I received today is external funding, but the funding, it is on the university website. So you can go to the university website, to the research link, and you can find all the forums there, and you will find the deadlines, you will find description about the fund and guidelines, how to apply and all these things. Okay, but usually, guys, the university or internal funding is a seed money. It's not that much money they provide. But the external funding compared to the internal funding is much higher. For example, I'm planning to apply for Aspire for a project. I already written the proposal. So I asked for 600,000 dirham, while my my current grant, internal grant, around 250,000 dirhams. So this is just to give you an indication or information that external funding always is greater amounts. They provide greater amounts than internal funding. Also, guys, keep in mind that the external funding is more prestigious than an internal funding. So when you add this element to your CV, the external funding is always more prestigious than an internal funding. Okay. So this means that you cannot always rely on internal funding. So you need always to seek for to find external funding opportunity. It's not only, guys, the public sector who gives money, but also the private sector. But the private sector, compared to the public sector, usually it's the process of getting less complicated. But you need to have a strong research problem, or you need to show them how you are going to solve a problem related to their activities. So, for example, you can contact ADNOC or Etisalat if you have a great idea, excellent idea. So you can approach these companies. They are private sector. If they find that your research will provide us a useful solution to any of the problems that they face, then the funding will be less complicated, and the time frame for getting this fund is less than the public sector funding. And also the private sector funding, you need to have, as I mentioned, a genuine or an excellent solution for a genuine problem that they face these companies in developing or in improving their products. Some private sector organizations or companies, they provide fund for as part of their social responsibility strategy. So always there is a room for finding a fund from the private sector. It's less complicated. The time frame is less, and it's less competitive. Public sector grants are more competitive because many people apply for these public sector funding opportunities. But when it's come to the private sector, it's the initiative starts from a researcher. So you need to contact, you need to search, you need to find any funding opportunities from these companies. But again, the private sector, they will not fund any idea. So you need to have a genuine idea, excellent idea, related to their challenges or problems. The public sector fund or funders or sponsors, these are governmental organizations, either federal or state, or could be local, or could be local government, for example, here in Abu Dhabi, or it could be federal level, for example, Ministry of Education. They provide a fund. We have Aspire. I'm planning, as I mentioned, to apply for this organization. We have Sanduq Watan, we have Advanced Technology Research Council. So we have in UAE, we have many. We have RTA, for example. Last year I applied for. They asked us to apply RTA in Dubai. They asked UAE University faculty members to apply for a fund to solve certain problems that are in their priority list. So as I explained to you, the public sector fund is very, very, very competitive. So if you check Aspire or ADIC website, you will find that they fund maybe 10% of the proposals, or 15% only of the proposals. So it's very competitive. You need to align your proposal with the key priorities. So each call for proposals with sometimes with different key priorities. For example, this year, I checked the Aspire key priorities. So last year, business areas were priorities in this in their call, but this year business areas are not. But for example, IT, will transportation, will health, will energy, always key priorities and many for many funding agencies in UAE. So if you look down, you'll find the major differences between private and public sector grant proposals. As I mentioned to you, private sector proposals relatively short, uncomplicated, And usually you need to write a letter of inquiry before writing your proposal. So you need to write a letter of inquiry to, for example, ADNOC or Etisalat or Emirates Airlines before writing your proposal, but you need to state your the problem that you are going to solve, your idea, is it novel, is it innovative? Then they will let you know if or if they are interested or not. Public sector proposals are lengthier and more complex and detailed. Any questions, guys? Is there any questions? Aspire is an agency. It's a new one. Aspire, it was named ADIC. So Aspire is a new agency. It is in Abu Dhabi, and they fund research proposals. Now there is a call from Aspire. So there is a call, so you can search on Aspire. It was ADIC. The name was ADIC, but now they changed the structure. They changed the name. I think it belongs to the Ministry of Education. So this is a funding agency, a major funding agency in Abu Dhabi. Okay. Shall the research of a grant be an application, produce tangible? Yes, it could be. It could be a patent, IP. Aspire, they focus on this. What about healthcare? What agencies? Aspire, Sanduq Watan, Ministry of Education. So it's healthcare, you can apply for different agencies. Even you can apply for internal fund. For example, in the university, they will not ask you which domain are you. In your proposal, you need to show that your idea is valuable. Can you send us to tell us what are the main external ones? Rana, you can see in the slide here, Sanduq Watan, Aspire, Advanced Technology, Research Council, Ministry of Education. These are funding agencies. Also internally, UE University, you can apply. If you are working here, you can apply for research fund from the university. But sometimes, guys, you need to check if PhD students are eligible to apply or not. So in case if you are not eligible, then you can discuss your idea with your professor or your supervisor. So in this case, you can have PI, principal investigator, and you could be a co-PI. Okay, guys. You can ask at the end also, guys, at the end. So we have many slides, especially the format of your proposal. So I need to finish this. We have limited time, 1 hour and a half, and we already spent half an hour. So we have 1 hour. So once we finish, guys, you can ask questions. Let us continue the presentation, please. So other than money, the grant could be, guys, as I mentioned to you at the beginning of my presentation, the grant could be a scholarship or a fellowship. I think if you are PhD students, some of you are supervised by professors here, and professors give you salaries and fund your research. So it could be a fellowship for postgraduate students or postdoctoral researchers in a specific field. So this is a grant. It could be access to facilities. So they don't give money, they give you, for example, access to high performance computers, or for example, Microsoft, they provide free license to use softwares. So this is other types of grants, or some of the grants are designed to acquire major equipments. It's not a fund for example, to hire PhD student or to hire postgraduate students. It could be acquiring equipments or grants. Some of the grants covers the costing or the cost of attending conferences and seminars. Questions? Do we have questions? How to find a potential funding agency? Okay, so this is to answer some of your questions, guys. Funding opportunities always here in UAE universities, are announced by research office. So as I mentioned to you, we always receive emails from the research office indicating that we have these funding opportunities. We always check the emails from the research office. Also, you can check the website of the research office. So at the university website. So there you can find funding opportunities. You need to regularly check the websites of the R&D departments of big companies. So you might find a call for proposals. In some countries, for example, in Australia, there are some dedicated websites for funding opportunities. These are two links in Australia. In UAE here, couldn't find any link for all funding opportunities in UAE. So that's why you need to search. But guys, to apply for a fund, you need to have, you need to be based on an institution, especially for external funding. You need, for example, if you are an employee here, professor here, or PhD students in UAE university, then you can start applying. But if you don't have an institution, then it's very difficult to apply for funding. Why? For monitoring, for controlling the funds, because the money will not go to your account, guys. The money will go to a university account or in your account. And then you can start use this money based on the criteria and the guidelines from the funding agency and from the university. For private sector funding, guys, you need to start with sending a request or inquiry request. So in this inquiry request, you need to explain your idea, and you need to show them that you know all you know the problems that need to be solved. So you can apply in this by sending an email or building a relationship, or if you have an access to R&D department there. Always, guys, try to do a search. So to find a potential fund, always check the funders' websites. Always try to find out all needed information. For example, key priorities especially for the public organization, the grant request range, how many or the number of grants awarded in the previous year. So you need to search, for example, someone asked me about Aspire. So now you search on Aspire and go to their website. You can check their priorities, check their guidelines, check a range of the fund. For example, Aspire maybe range from 200,000 until 1 million or 2 million sometimes. So you can check their website. Always the private sector do not want to award mid to high funding award range amounts until after they test with a small grant amount. So usually if you apply for a private company, then we'll give you a small grant first to check your credibility or accountability and the cost effectiveness of the grant management. Then after that, you can ask for larger grant in the future. So as I mentioned to you guys, if you apply for a private company, you need to prepare a letter of inquiry. So usually the private sector funders have moved toward requiring an initial letter of inquiry. So in this letter, you will ask about their interest in the project. If they are interested, then they will ask you to submit the full grant proposal. Okay. Usually, when you send this letter of inquiry, you need to send a covering letter and some attachment, for example, your CV, your project evaluation plan, how the project will be monitored and assessed. They need to make sure that you are capable to do the project, successfully do the project. Also, they will ask you about the structure of your organization. So if you are, you need to, they need to make sure also that the money will be efficiently and effectively spent. So you need to send supporting material to this company in order to fund your project. It's strongly encouraged to build the relationship. Once you have this grant, if they fund your project or they accept to fund your idea, then with the private sector, you need to build a strong relationship. So always try to, this tip is once you get the fund from the private company. So you need to build a strong relationship with them. You need to do exchange emails with them. You need to communicate your progress with them. Sometimes you can do a face-to-face meeting with the people responsible to monitor your fund. So this is a pathway of fund or external or internal funding. So first, guys, you need to have an idea. You need to generate ideas. So usually ideas lay on the groundwork. So guys, before starting generating ideas, first you need to read the current literature. You need to read, you need to have enough information in the area. So so once you have this background, then you can start generating your ideas. Once you have idea, you can do an initial contact. For example, with the private sector, we mentioned the letter of inquiry. Or for example, you can, if you have an idea, you can send a request to a research office and a university asking about funding opportunities. Then you will write your proposal. For an external funding, guys, you can't submit your proposal directly to an external funding agency. I'm talking here about your university. First, you need to take approval from the research office. Okay, this is a must. So once you write your proposal, then you need to submit this proposal to a research office. The research office will check your proposal And after that, they will, if everything is okay, they will give you the approval. Then you will go to, for example, Aspire. If it's external funding, you go to Aspire and submit your proposal. Your proposal, if you are lucky, if it's approved, then you will start your doing your project. Once you finish, you need to publish the results. You need to, sometimes, guys, especially with COVID, many of the researchers could not finish their projects online. So you can seek for extension, for example, for 6 months. And sometimes they give you 1 year extension if there is a valid reason. If your proposal is declined, always ask for reviewers' comments. So why? Because you can fix the problems in your proposal, and you can recycle your proposal. You can resubmit again to the same agency, or you can submit to recycle it to other institutions, or sometimes you can come up with a new idea based on the comments that you received from reviewers. So before writing your proposal, you need to have a brilliant idea, or a brilliant innovative idea, or a real problem to address. Okay, so always the problem makes the proposal. So the proposal will be judged based on the strength of your idea. Is it novel? Is it significant? Is it possible? Is it doable? Can you implement it? Are you capable to implement this? Do you have the credentials to implement this? Always, guys, if you are thinking about writing proposals in the future, always keep or adapt the habit to write down your ideas. So you can have a mind map, as you can see in this slide. Always keep multiple ideas. So the more ideas you have, the more chances to get funds. So you can apply for different agencies, and at the end, you will be successful in one of them. This is important initial checklist, guys. For example, if you are now, of some of you thinking to apply for Aspire, for example, first of all, you need to check is UAE is eligible to apply, because Aspire, guys, is only for Abu Dhabi. So if someone from Al Sharjah University, he or she cannot apply for Aspire, because Aspire is only for Abu Dhabi. Also, we might have something in Dubai that in UAE University we can't apply. So you need to check. You can check the funding agency website, check the conditions, check the guidelines, check the deadlines. Because now, for example, Aspire deadline is 25th of October, or at the end of October. So, but the deadline to apply, to send your proposal to a research office is, I think, 25th of October. So you need to check the deadline. Otherwise, you will waste your time if the deadline already passed. Does your idea meet the funding priorities? For example, as I mentioned to you, maybe Aspire, they don't fund economics ideas. I'm just saying that you can check that priorities. Okay, maybe they don't fund the mathematics, for example. So you need to check funding priorities, and you need to align your ideas or your research proposal, funding grant proposal with the funding agency priorities. For example, this will strengthen your proposal if your organization, for example, here we have equipment, we have labs to implement our ideas. You can't ask guys for a whole lab. You can ask for certain equipments. Otherwise, if you want to build a lab from scratch, this means that you need maybe 5 million dirhams. For example, we are lucky here in UAE University that we have a lot of equipments, so we can ask for a certain equipments in our research proposal or grant proposal. So you need to make sure that at least the cap of the grant will fund at least 50% of your project. Why? Because, for example, in UAE University, we have labs, we have many initiatives to fund the rest of our projects. Is there any geographic restriction? As I mentioned to you, Aspire, there is a geographic restriction. So because they fund only the grants or the proposals from Abu Dhabi universities. Does our proposal or proposed project for a grant request match the funder guidelines and interest? Yani, when you write your proposal, you need to check the guidelines and interest of the funding agency. Otherwise, it will be a waste of time. Okay. How to get an idea, guys? How to get an idea? So the first step to find a great idea or novel ideas is to read the professional literature. So you need to do research or search, especially on the top journals in your area. So you don't need to reinvent the wheels. If you don't read the literature, especially the most recent literature and the top journals in your field, you might think that your idea is great and new and novel, but it is not, because somebody else already investigated this problem recently. That's why it's very important to read the literature in your area. And especially the most recent. So go back 5 years. I think most of you know the top journals, Q1 journals or A journals, A-star journals in your field. Read the literature. Always when you read papers, especially strong papers, usually the last section of the paper, researchers or authors, they add the future directions or future research venues. So read this part. It will give you new ideas on how to, what are the problems in your area, what are the potential or future research directions in your area. Always, guys, you can ask for awarded grants. So some of the organizations or public agencies, sponsors, I mean, or university, you can find a list of already funded projects. Okay, so this will help you to know what are the ideas or the problems that already addressed. So to avoid them, so you need to come up with something new. Attending professional meetings and conferences is very useful. Guys, usually, especially in the prestigious conferences, international conferences, usually if you attend these conferences, you will find new ideas or you will find a new room for future research. Always also you can build a relationship with other researchers, so you can get new contacts to check your ideas or whatever. Discuss your ideas with your colleagues, with your supervisor, or with other students. If you have an idea, try to do some initial work to check: is it doable? Is it can you do it? Do you have capabilities, with credentials, the expertise to do this? Also, try to find out how previous papers address or provided solutions for specific problems. So you might come up with a new solution, guys. It's not only a new idea, but sometimes it's a new solution to address the problem differently. Your proposal could be a new methodology to address a problem. You might address a problem in different approach, more effective, more efficient approach. You can address an old idea, but differently with a new approach. Always make sure that your idea has a local context. For example, here in UAE, if you check funding agencies, they always focus on UAE context. So usually they will ask you to align your outcomes of your research with the national agenda and national priorities in Abu Dhabi here or in UAE in general. So you need to know the context, and I think many professors from engineering, they always try to solve problems related to UAE. This will give you more chances for the fund. Yes, is there any question? Okay, everything is clear, guys? Once you have a great idea, you have a good idea, novel idea, or innovative idea, or idea that rarely addressed, idea that maybe addressed in different context, you want to you apply it here in UAE context, then you will start writing your grant proposal. Okay, always in your grant proposal, focus that this will make the sponsor successful. Don't focus that this proposal will make you successful, because who will pay the money or who will fund your idea? The sponsor or the public or private funding agency. So align your proposal with their interest, with their priorities, and how this will make them successful. This is very useful hint, guys. So always, I will tell you a story about it. So always carefully check the guidelines in the grant announcement, so, or in the public or private agency website or a funding agency website. So you need to read guidelines and apply them 4 times. And the first time, you need to check, is your agency or are you eligible to apply or not? So you need to check in the guidelines. For example, in some funding agencies, they don't allow PhD students to apply. In this case, you need to find out a solution. So you can collaborate with professor here in UAE University or from other universities in UAE. Also, as I mentioned to you, Aspire, for example, does not allow universities from Sharjah or Dubai to apply for this grant. So universities have to be from Abu Dhabi, Emirates. If you are eligible, your organization is eligible, then you need to skim the basics. For example, a deadline. What's the date of the deadline? Number of grants awarded, or range of the grant award. Maybe your project required 1 million dirham, but the grant only covered 100,000. Sorry, 100,000 or something. So you need to check this. Formatting requirement, guys, very important. I know a professor from here, from New University, he told me that ADIC last year, they reject his proposal just because of the formatting. يعني font size. Direct reject. يعني they didn't send it to external reviews. So ADIC, internal reviewer in ADIC, maybe secretary or whatever, they send a message to them, your proposal is rejected because the formatting requirement, the page limits, the margins. This is very important, guys. So you need, this is one of the things that you need to look at. Usually the formatting, guidelines are at the website of the funding agency, and sometimes when they send the call in the email, they will send you the guidelines with template, guys. You will find the template, the structure of the proposal. So you need to follow the structure of the funding agency. Okay, the fourth or final pass, you can seek for peer review criteria. Some of the funding agencies, they put funding peer review criteria. So they will say, we will review your proposal based on these criteria. So you need to read these criteria if they are available. It's not, you will not find these criteria available everywhere. How do you make the financial of the grant? Yeah, guys. Still, I will explain to you the proposal parts. Just wait, guys. Just wait. Okay. So I will skip some of the parts, guys. I will share the presentation with you. So I will go now because we have only, I think, half an hour. So I will go to the structure of the proposal because this is the most interesting part for you, I think. Okay. Here, useful tips, guys. Always, you need to define your goals and the benefits to the reader, especially the funding agency or external reviewers. You need to have clear aim and objectives, clear research plan. Always, when you write your proposal, keep in your mind that this is a convincing writing, not a journal or academic journal writing. So you need to build your story, you need to convince them, you need to sell your idea to an agency. Okay, so this is the most important part of this presentation. So this is the format of your proposal. Guys, you need to check the guidelines. Usually funding agencies, they have a template, but most likely, from my experience, internal, I applied for internal or external, most likely you need to have all these sections in your proposal. So the title page, the abstract, the aim with objectives, with background. The aim or objectives with background, sometimes you will find them in one section. The significance, why your proposal is important or your idea is important for the public agency or the public funding agency, or research plan or methodology, research plan and methodology, facilities, personnel, budget justification, any appendix, CV of the applicants. Okay, so in your research plan, guys, you need to have a timeline, you need to have all these things. I will give you examples, guys. I will give you examples in the coming slides. Okay. So, so writing a proposal is about selling your idea. So why your idea is important? You need to have very specific aim and objectives. You need to write a background, because when you write a strong background literature review, then the reviewer will check your understanding of, are you knowledgeable, literature? Is there any collaboration? So collaboration is very important, especially if there is like international collaboration. For example, UE University focus on collaboration with top 100 universities worldwide. Your publications, do you have publications in the area? Your approach and abstract, all these very important. You need to sell your idea in all these parts. Okay, so keep in your mind, guys, evaluation criteria. يعني most likely a reviewer will check these things. I mean, external reviewers. Your proposal will be sent to external reviewers, expert in the field. So they will 30% will go to investigators. Are you capable to implement this proposal? Are you capable? Are you? Do you have publications, top journal publications? The quality of the project and idea 15%. Benefits to outside the academia 10%. Visibility of your projects, is it visible 25%, and the research environment 20%. Also important factors, international collaboration. Are you going to train, for example, Aspire, they focus on one of the criteria for them is, are you going to train graduate students? Are you going to develop professionally develop students in your university? Well, management plan. All these things are very important, and they will evaluate your proposal based on this. So these are, you need to avoid these comments, guys. I search and I found these most commonly used comments by reviewers. So you need to avoid these negative comments. So some of the reviewers state that the problem statement is too global or too generic. So your research problem has to be very specific. This problem has been studied to the death. This means that you haven't done background research or literature review of the most recent papers from top journals. It is almost impossible to understand what the author wants to study or what the main theme is. So you need to have very specific theme and objectives. An approach, the methodology. I cannot ascertain what approach the researcher will take in examining the problem outlines. So you need to have a clear methodology. The cost is inflated. The project, you ask for 1 million while your idea, and you can implement the idea with 10,000 or whatever. The project is under budgeted. And this is a comment. They might reject your project and send you one of these comments. Only one comment is enough for rejecting your proposal. The proposed project is one-man show. There is no clear venue for collaboration or of collaboration. The project is too ambitious. So you need to avoid these comments. So keep in mind these comments. This is the first part of your proposal, title, guys. I will quickly, guys, move because we have a lot of slides, many slides left. So your title has to be informative, tells the idea, attention grabbing, understandable by non-technical people, and it's not too long. So these are examples, guys, on various fields. So keep it short, informative, and tells the idea of your proposal in simple words. Similar to the titles of journal papers, guys, if you already done journal papers. Okay. الابستراكت guys, الابستراct or executive summary. So keep in mind it is a one-page abstract. Okay, and you need to get the attention of the reviewers. Okay, so your abstract should give the idea for the reviewer about your aim, the problem or your idea, your aim and or objectives, and how you're going to address this problem, and the significance of your study. So usually the audience will be likely two sets of people: reviewers within the funding agency, or reviewers or peer reviewers outside the funding agency. So the abstract should be according to guidelines regarding the word limits. And for example, maybe you will find in Aspire, they ask, for example, for no more than 1,000 words in your abstract or executive summary. So you need to follow the structure. You need to follow the guidelines or word limits. Okay, you can be sure that though some reviewers may skip parts of your proposal, for example, when I read, sometimes I review some of the proposals. So always I start with reading an abstract, although sometimes I skip some of the parts, but everybody will read your abstract. So you need to be very careful when you writing an abstract. And guys, a tip: don't write an abstract before writing your proposal. Okay, so once you finish your proposal, then you can write an abstract at the end, because you will have a clear idea. This is an example of abstract, guys, or a major component of your abstract. So state the broad aim in your first sentence. So for example, this is an example, guys. This is an example of one of my proposals, guys. This is a funded proposal, already funded. Okay, so state with project aim, then you need to follow, following with 2-3 sentences about why your idea is novel. Then the methodology that you are going to use, expected outcomes of your proposal or and the benefits to the end user. Why your proposal is significant. So this is an example. I will share with you this presentation, guys, so you can use it as material that will help you to write your proposal. Okay, so this is another proposal. This proposal I already waiting for the results, evaluation of this proposal. The aim of this proposal, the significance or expected outcomes. Also, you need to add the methodology that you are going to use, guys. So in this proposal, I already in my abstract, I already written the methodology or that I'm going to use. Okay, so you can use, guys, you can extract some sentences from the body of your proposal from different sections to write your. That's why I said to you, leave it to the end, till the end, and finish your proposal. Then you can write the abstract. Okay, objectives will aims. There is a difference between the aim and objectives, guys. So the aim is generic. What are you going to do? Well, objective is very specific, and the objectives have to be linked to your aim. What are the activities that you need to do in order to achieve the major aim of your research? State the aim and objectives clearly. The objectives are very specific, measurable, doable. when you develop your aims and objectives, keep in your mind the funders or sponsor goals and objectives. Okay. So again, guys, the aim, what you hope to achieve, well, objective, the action you will take in order to achieve the aim. The objectives always, these are the characteristics of good objectives. SMART. SMART means specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. Okay. I have to go quick here, guys. The aim, this is a major aim here. Objective 1, objective 2, objective 3. Usually we have one aim and more than one objective. Outcomes, link your outcomes to, for example, outcome A, B, C are related to objective 1, outcome D, E, F related to objective 2, and so on, guys. These are examples of aims, guys. You can start, this is a tip for you. For example, provide, develop, plan, educate, create, build, whatever. So you can use these words when you write your aims and objectives. Usually, guys, when you write the background, there is a section in your proposal or grant proposal, you will find it in most of the templates, background and aim and objectives. There is introductory paragraph, second paragraph. The introductory paragraph in the background, you start with the first sentence, which is Hawke's sentence. State what is known, then state the gap in the knowledge. In the second paragraph, you state your aim or introduce your aim and how are you going to do, how and where. Then you can write a strong hypothesis. I will give you an example here, guys. So this is introductory paragraph. So this is about, I think, e-learning. Okay, or online learning. So this is in blue is a Hawke statement, guys. Well, the green known, what is already known. Then the gap in the knowledge. If you read it, when I share this presentation with you, read it carefully. You will find this is a gap in the knowledge and the critical need. Why we need to study this. Well, second paragraph, when you write the background section in your proposal, the second paragraph, you need to state the aim and then the objectives of your research, the hypothesis, if you have hypothesis, payoff, what are the expected benefits to a society or to a community or to academic or whatever of your idea or of your proposal. Okay. Significance, guys. This is another part in your proposal. So in your proposal, you need to write a significance, why your research is important. So you need to summarize a research significant to a scientific community and a funding agency as well, or if it's a private sector company. So why this proposal is important or solving this problem is important for them. So officers always use this significance to justify funding of your proposal. So this is an example, guys, example on how to write the significance of your proposal. So, for example, this is very important for policymakers and why it's important for policymakers. If you are providing a new solution, for example, this is very important, especially here we are talking about recycling. So this is important for protecting an environment and it's aligned with the national agenda. Also, our solution, we can produce IP from intellectual property from our solution, so we can apply for a patent or whatever. So don't say that we are going to publish articles. So publishing articles is not a significance of your research. Publishing articles is an outcome of your research. Okay. So guys, use always, when you write the significance of your research, always use positive words. For example, we will provide a new solution, novel methodology, advanced. Yes, question? What's the question, guys? I can't see the question because you are sending private message. Okay, and avoid using sorry, we might, we could, we hope, we possibly. This will not very specific. So you have to be very specific, not generic, and you need to show the reviewer that you are sure that your idea is significant. If you say we might, we could, this means that you are not sure. Research plan, guys, this is another part of your proposal, and it will be examined by experts or reviewers. What is your, Hussein, Zid Hussein, what's your question? Sorry, can we have? Yeah. Yes, guys. Yes, guys, I will share it with you. I will send it to the person who is responsible or ask me to do this presentation, and I will share it with you guys. You can use it as a guidelines for you. Okay, so research plan is very important. Be very detailed. Okay, very detailed, because usually, guys, in templates, the grant templates, usually they will give you 5 to 10 pages in order to write your research plan. It has to be very sophisticated. You need to show them, you need to convince the reviewer that you know working procedures, you know how to implement your idea, you know the equipment needed, you know how to solve, how to implement your idea, or how to implement your research. So methodology with research plan is very important section in your proposal. So you need to write it in very detail. I can't read the message, this message, I don't know. Someone sending message, but I can't read. Okay. So methodology will be dependent in your research area, guys. For example, social science will business researchers, usually they use survey, they use interviews with case studies. But for example, chemical engineering or engineering or ITs, usually they use experiments, or for example, they develop algorithms or whatever. You need to know the standard methodology in your research area or in your field. Also, you need to pay attention to ethical, especially medicine researchers. Ethics there, because ethics is very important in all fields. For example, you need to show reviewer that you are aware about the ethical considerations. For example, in my proposal, funded proposal, I have last year, I mentioned in my methodology that I'm going to get approval from ethics committee in the UAE University. So I already got the ethical approval. So you need to show the reviewer that you are aware about this. The validity or reliability of your model or of your constructs. You need also to show a reviewer that your approach or your methodology is suitable to answer the research problem and to answer your research questions. Okay, so you need to show rational. When you write your methodology or a research plan and methods, you need to show why are you using or choosing this methodology. You might say, if this is correct in your field, This is the most widely used approach to address this problem. Do we have any? Yes, we have ethical committee, guys. Yes, we have ethical committee. If you go to the university website to research, there is a research link. Yani you can a website for research. You will find the ethics committee forms, and there is a system. Through this system, you can submit your ethics application. So there is a form. You need to fill this form. Yani this form maybe took me 1 week to fill this form. A lot of information you need to. And the ethics committee will approve or ask you to clarify things. Okay, especially if you are survey, if you are going to do a survey, they will ask you about the survey, who are your sample participants, how you're going to approach these people, where are you going to keep data, because you are collecting data about people, so you need to protect their privacy. So yeah, there is ethics committee here. You can, I can send you the form. If you need help, Qasim, if you need, you can send me an email. I can send you the forms and send you the details about, because I already went through this process last year. Okay. So methodology is a discipline specific. So social sciences or business, or even sometimes medicine, they use a survey. So you need to, if you want to conduct a survey, then you need to develop your measures, the questions. Are you going to use a Likert scale, your sampling technique? Is it random sample, convincing sample, snowball, whatever? Select your participants. Are you going to survey students or employees? Are they from the whole UAE or from, for example, specific organization? Are you going to conduct phone survey, or a mail survey, or an online survey? Sample size, response rate, statistical techniques. Are you going to use, for example, SPSS to analyze data, or structure coding modeling technique? So you need to explain all these details. Otherwise, the reviewer will reject your proposal, because if you missed any of these things, then you will be in a bigger problem. The experiment also, you need to explain your experiment, why this is, how you design your experiment, how you recruit the participants, the equipment that you need, how you're going to collect the data, how you're going to manipulate the measures with variables, tools or technologies that are you going to use in your experiment. So it is especially important to give enough detail for another researcher to reproduce the results, in order to check that some people might use your same approach to provide different results, or to check the validity of your approach in order maybe to suggest a new innovative solution. Clear, guys? So it depends on your area. You need to use suitable methodology to address your research problem and research questions, and to produce your outcomes. These are some helpful tips when you write your research plan. So guys, when you write your research plan, always a useful tip is to visualize your methodology, overall methodology. For example, this is example for a survey, calculation, sample size, preparing assessment or measures, pilot study, whatever. So you can see here, this is to visualize my survey methodology. Always also link the conceptual framework to a specific aim and objectives, and also link it to personnel. For example, PhD Scholar 1 will carry experiment, and this experiment is linked to objective number 1 or objective number 2. Okay. So this is an example of methodology. This is one of the methodologies that I already used in one of my projects. So this is data collection, very detailed, building a mathematical model, then software development, then validation. This is just a quick example out of my projects. This is a timeline, or someone asking me about the Gantt chart. So this is a Gantt chart, for example, guys, back to this example here. For example, data collection here. You will write here data collection, for example, the first 3 months. You can start with literature review, for example, data collection. Here, building the mathematical models. Okay, so you need to have a Gantt chart. Also, in this Gantt chart, you can link this to a personnel who is going to do that. For example, data collection, PhD student 1, PhD student 2, if you have for example, 2 or RA, research assistant. Yes. Okay. Okay. So these are, guys, here the major milestones or the steps in your proposal. So the first step, for example, doing a literature review. Usually I write, always I write a literature review as the first step. For example, data collection, then building mathematical software development and validation. Always also in your timeline, always indicate when are you going to publish your results. Always also you need to add reports, monitoring reports. For example, after 4 months you need, or 1 year, you need to submit the first report. After 1.5 years, you need to submit the second report, evaluation report, and finally at the end of your proposal, the final report. So you need to indicate this in your timeline, the Gantt chart. Okay, in your proposal, guys, you need to explain the role of each participant. For example, if you have a PhD student, if you have co-investigators, so you need to link the role to your objectives and plan. And also in your plan, you need to indicate or state the main achievements of each person. For example, here, Professor Muhammad is excellent in the field of artificial intelligence. Blah, 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 blah. He published in high quality, and Professor Muhammad will do experiment 1 or experiment 2, and Professor Muhammad will supervise PhD student number 1. Okay, and link it to an objective, and he will be responsible for attaining objective number 1 or objective number 2. Here, for example number 2, guided by Professor Kailani, PhD Scholar 2 will carry out the necessary statistical analysis in reference to objective 2. So in your plan, you need to identify the role of each investigator in your proposal, because you might have 4 or 3 or 6 or whatever. It depends on your project. Okay. Also, you need to state if there is any collaboration. For example, Professor Kailani and Professor Muhammad already published collaborative research in the area of artificial intelligence, and they already published 2 or 3 papers in top journals. So this will give you indication that the team already established collaboration before the proposal. Or reflect this from achievement from the CV. The CV, you need to attach a CV of all participants in your project. So you need to reflect high achievements from the CVs. Or if there's any multidisciplinary nature in your team, you need to highlight this. This will give you credit. This is, guys, you may have a table that, for example, objective 1 is the chief investigator will be responsible for objective 1, objective 2, objective 3 as a major role, but here objective 5 minor. So you might have this guys table. Also, this is example on how to highlight in the bottom, how to highlight the achievement of the researchers. For example, Professor Hardy, H index is 42, and co-author 2 manuscripts with Professor Omar or whatever. Okay, so always highlight these things, guys, in your research plan, in the role of personnel. Okay. A research environment, this is part of your research proposal, guys. You need to talk about your research environment. For example, what kind of facilities you have, what are the university, because this will help you. This is sometimes, we call it co-finance. The UAE University provide us with the labs, provide us with the stationery, provide us with the library, access to research, provide us with the chemicals sometimes, and if we use chemicals, provide us with the laptops, with computer facilities. So the funding agency will consider this as a co-finance. Okay, so it's important to show this in your proposal. Also in your proposal, guys, show if you have a funding record. How many funds and how much fund you received in the recent years. Okay. And also, if you are an early career researcher, clearly mention who will guide you to implement your project. Okay. Communications of outcomes, mention, in the outcomes, deliverables, you need to mention how many papers are you going to publish, in which journals. Target always Q1 or Q1 ranked journals. Are you going to present in the conferences? How are you going to inform the community about the results of you? So you might have seminars or school visits, or you can publish your results using social media, and so forth. Also, data management activities. If you collect data, where are you going to store this data? How to protect this data? If you are supervising students, how many meetings are you going to do? Meetings, you need to keep the funder informed about all these day-to-day activities. This is the budget, guys. I had a question about the budget. So the budget section, you need to calculate salaries والwages والequipments والtravel. Is there any travel, conferences, or if you have collaboration with, for example, someone from the US, you want to go there or to get him or here. The publication cost, the consumable, the minor equipments, the software license, all these you need to put them in your budget. So this is an example on the budget, guys. So you need to calculate the travel. Yes, is there any questions? There are softwares, guys. There are some softwares that you can use. You can develop your Gantt chart. If you don't have this software, feel MS project, I think. The MS project you can use from the office, Word or whatever, you can search on it, guys. Or you can have a table, you can have a table. Like a table, you can have a table. Not necessarily that you use Gantt chart, you can have a table. You can develop in Word or in Excel, guys. Okay. This is the budget, for example, the maintenance, the equipment, the travel, the personnel. Very important, guys. You can't. Once you write your budget, you will not be able to change from personnel to travel or vice versa. So you need to be very careful. And it's not allowed if your project is funded. you are not allowed to move from one part to another part. So you need to be very, very careful. So this is, you need to justify your budget, guys. For example, these are some examples. For example, personnel, how to calculate the personnel. For example, here, this is 160,000. So, this is for an investigator or co-investigator. And if you are going to hire, for example, a research assistant. So, for example, you need to write something like this. How much monthly are you going to pay for your research assistant? For example, let us say 5,000 monthly. The duration of your project is 2 years. You need to calculate this, or 3 years, whatever. So you need to do this calculation, and you need to explain what is the rule of this RA, for example. If you want to hire 2 RAs or 1 RA and PhD student, you need to put this. Sometimes there are some incentives for the PI or co-PI. You need to write this. For example, 10% of your project, you can say that incentive for a researcher, a chief investigator, and a co-investigator. This is example of the equipment, guys. So you need to get quotation. Before writing your proposal, if you are going to purchase, for example, software, for example, SurveyMonkey, get a quotation, and then you will add it, and you justify why are you going to use, for example, SurveyMonkey. Okay, because you are doing, for example, survey. Travel, travel. You are going to a conference, the flights, or how many nights or accommodation, per diems, tickets, fees of the conference. You need to write all these details. Consumable, guys, something, for example, you need chemicals, you need whatever, ink for the printer or something, so you can add all these as consumable. References, you need to add references. Are you there, guys? Hello?
Yes, we are still here, Doctor.
Okay, because I'm worried about the time, because we already exceeded the time. Anyway, so references, you need to add the references to the at the bottom of your, and it's not at the bottom because the CV is after the references. So you need to add all the references, guys, based on the style, referencing style of the funding agency. You will find the referencing style in the template. Usually you will find a template for the proposal, so you can. One tip, guys, or helpful tip, always cite top ranked journals with most recent articles. Go back to 5 years, go 5 years back, and then cite the work of top researchers or top ranked journals. Avoid the Mickey Mouse journals, هذول journals, low quality journals. Because the reviewer will check the references. The CV, guys, you need to add the CV of researchers, the PI or co-PI, chief investigators, the co-investigators. It's a short CV. Also they will guide you how to write your CV. Usually, like the survey, CV, education, or academic professional, or professional academic experience, with list of recent publications, الHatch Index, Google Scholar Link, ORCID, awards, the grants, membership, key speak in some keynote speak in some conferences, with other potential achievements. What kind of achievements you already achieved? Okay, you are not done. You need to go back to your abstract once you write an abstract, then you need to go back to polish your abstract. You need to reflect the scope of your project, summarize the project aims and methods, check before submission, pre-submission review, check all the parts, or did you follow guidelines, will format, allow always, guys, I already planning to, I'm planning to submit, for example, external grant proposal next month. So almost, I have done most of my proposal, because I want to allow some time, 2 weeks, just to rewrite and read again and again in order to make it more sophisticated. Okay. Final check. You need to make sure that your objectives are measurable. Pages are numbered. You check for different. Is there any different font types or sizes? And this is very important, guys. I told you. Aspire last year they rejected the proposal just because of the font. Incorrect spacing, is there any spelling errors? Guys, the library here, our library, they have a service, so you can send your work. I'm not sure if they have budget or not, but you can always check with the library. There is one guy who is responsible for editing, so they can do editing, professional editing for your proposal or for your journal papers. Structure, you need to follow the structure. You can send the final proposal early to research office or library for reading. You can always ask for copies from the research office for most or recently funded proposals, to check if you are following or if you are on the right direction. Okay, after once you submit, you need to wait like 5-6 months. If you are funded, then congratulations. Then you can. They will ask you to sign a contract with them. If you are not successful, you can recycle with another funder. Generally, guys, 50% of the proposals are fundable. Some of the agencies, they fund only 10 or 20% and although we have 50% fundable, but maybe the funding agency will fund only 10 to 20% of these very good proposals. So even if your proposal is very, very, very good, so you need to compete with maybe other excellent proposals. These are some references, guys, and additional resources. Guys, do you have time to share with you one of my funded proposals? Do you have time? Are you willing to wait, or do you have other commitments? Okay, guys,
I think many of the students are saying yes. I'm not sure. I think already 2 students, they mentioned yes in the chat box. So if you are willing to wait, I think you can just wait for a couple of minutes. Hopefully it will be really, okay. I know it will be very beneficiary to all of us.
Okay, guys, do you have, before going to this, to share with you one of my proposals, do you have any questions?
Yes, Doctor, I think some of us had questions, but I just told them to wait until you are done with the presentation, and I could give them permission to, if you have any question, guys, you can just raise your hand and I can unmute you, then you can ask your question directly. Okay, in this case, I will do, I will
pause this share. New share, advanced sharing. Okay, guys. To know how to stop share, okay. Just want to go to my folders to find the most recent one. Okay, okay.
Doctor, I think one of the students is correct. Oh, what's wrong with me? One of the students is asking some questions.
Yeah, what is the question, please?
The question is like, do staff and students get support when they are applying for a grant? Maybe they need to get a help or something like that. So a moment, it's like while you are writing your grant, whether you can get help from someone, maybe a colleague, or in writing or in reviewing your grant before you actually send it to the research office.
You always can ask for help. For example, guys, when I first written my first proposal here, I asked for the most recently funded proposal. So I have read maybe 5 funded proposals or projects, and I got an idea on how to write the budget section. So you can do this, guys, and you can ask your professor if you are a student. You can ask professors in your department to share with you funded projects, and you can get help. But you need, this is initiative from you. You need to ask. Nobody will. I don't know what kind of free softwares, guys. For writing a Gantt chart. But the Gantt chart you can use the MS project. It's not a free. Okay. But still, you can search in Google. Search in Google to find out other softwares. You can do it, guys. You can use Word. Do you have Word, Ruwaida Khalil? You can use Word to do the Gantt chart. It's not. You can use the MS project, but if you don't have a license for that, you can use Word. You know that you can draw in Word, right? So can you see my screen, guys? Okay, so this is already funded project. So this is the title. As you can see, guys, the title is informative, short. Anyone can understand the terms. Although we are talking about the smart government or 4th industrial revolution, but the title is very simple. Okay, so this form, you can download this form, guys, from the research office website. So you can download this form. You need to fill this information. يعني I have co-investigator with me, so myself and I have a co-investigator. So this is the abstract, guys. So you need to to have, it's 1 page, half page. You see, guys, the abstract only half page. The research objectives will aim, how I'm going to address this, significance. Why this project is important. As you can see, the results of this project are important to government policymaker and decision makers in UAE, and I explain how. Okay, very short abstract stating the aim, research problem, methodology, research objectives and questions, and significance, and or why this is important. Also, most likely they will ask you to translate. In UAE, they will ask you to translate your abstract works. Then second part is significance. So this is a 2-page, as you can see, 2 pages. This is from them, not from me. Maximum 2 pages. So you need to follow these guidelines. So you need to write a significance, why your project is significant, why this project is helpful for or addressing how it will solve a current problem or issue in UAE. For example, I aligned my proposal to a national agenda of United Arab Emirates and national agenda, university agenda. Yeah, research agenda of university. So if you read the national agenda of UAE, you can find the UAE Vision 2030, I think, or 2020 or whatever. So you need to do search, guys. You need to show a reviewer that you know exactly what are the priorities of the funding agency. Okay, then in background here, you need to talk about the literature review, guys, and also you need to identify a research problem or research gap, where you need to write your objective. These are specific aims or objectives, 1 page. 1 aim and specific. My aim, I already mentioned the aim, the major aim in my abstract with introduction. Well, specific objectives here, because I explained to you guys, there is a difference between the aims and the objectives. So usually you have 1 aim and different, or here I have 3 objectives. Initial results I don't have, so you can leave it. If you have already, especially engineering with IT, sometimes they do initial work. So you can show this in this section. Here, 10 pages, as I mentioned to you guys, methods will specific task, will time schedule, 10 pages. So you need to explain the methodology. For example, I'm using qualitative methodology, and this is a multiple research method project. So I use the qualitative and I used the quantitative. Sorry guys, excuse me, because I just recovered from COVID, so that's why I feel tired sometimes. Okay, so this is my framework here. And this is a statistical approach that I'm using. This is you asked me about the Gantt chart, guys. In this proposal, this is funded, successful proposal. I developed this using a table from Word, using Word, Office. Literature review, the first 3 months I will finish literature review. Development of the theoretical framework. Here, the PI, the principal supervisor or investigator or co-investigator will do this. Okay, guys? Someone asked me, who asked me about Ruwaida. You see Ruwaida? I didn't use, I haven't used the MS project software. I use the Word, you can use it, or Excel, you can do like this. So expected outcomes, guys, this is very important. What are you going, what are the results of your project? So I will publish 2 journal papers, conferences, whatever. The qualifications of the PI or co-PI. This is how in your plan. So 2 pages. What are you going to do? PI, co-PI, personnel. If you have PhD students, RA. So you need to state what are they going to do. You need to mention some of your credentials. For example, both investigators are experienced academic and professional who obtained their PhD from whatever. They published in high quality journals. For example, I published in the Q1, this paper, this paper, this paper, this paper. So I published maybe 10 papers in the Q1 journals. So I will add this to, so this will give a credit to me. Well, also I mentioned how many projects, funded projects previously funded. Okay, and what are the outcomes of these funded projects? For example, I published an article in this journal, Q1, ranked A from this project. Okay, so you need to you need to convince the reviewer that you are capable to implement this project. You are qualified to, otherwise they will reject. For example, if you apply for, if I apply for chemical engineering, although maybe I can write a proposal, but they will check my CV. I am an information system guy. How are you going to implement, how are you going to do this chemical engineering project? Then they will reject my project, okay? If you have international collaboration, they will ask you for a letter. You need to attach this letter. And this is references, guys. These are references. Then the budget. You can see, guys, the budget. I asked for year 1, 2,500 for consumable. Here I need to have a section to justify this. So 2,500 to cover stationery, white papers, printer ink, whatever. In research I wanted to distribute survey. In this case, I need a lot of stationery. Yes, what is your question? I must leave now. Okay, Zaid. Okay, so السكند اللي هو الستاف البيرسونيل الريسيرشرز والتكنيشنز و any other personnel. So in year 1 I ask for this amount of money, and year 2, so you need to divide year 1, year 2, because my project is 2 years. Okay, and then the I need to justify. For example, salary of RA. I paid my RA 5,000 dirhams for 16 months. Okay, so this is 80,000 here. Okay, so 80,000 for and then I need salary for 5 technicians. This is 75,000. So if you have a look at these justifications, you need to justify every single amount of money. Okay, travel, equipment. So I ask for 15,000 to purchase, for example, but they rejected, guys, this. A research office rejected to purchase for me laser printer. They said, you already have it at your department. So why you ask for a laser printer with standard scan? So I removed this 15,000 from this project. This is maybe not the final version. Just to show you example. Dissemination course اللي هي الcover journal publication workshops, travel. Because of COVID-19, guys, I couldn't travel. So I moved this. They accepted to move this 15,000 from travel to personnel. So I hired, I just hired RA for 3 months, extra 3 months. because I asked for 16 months, but I said I couldn't travel because of COVID-19. So I need to use this. But this is a very good justification. Sometimes they will reject, guys. If you just say, I want, if there's no COVID-19, they will not accept to change from travel to any personnel. Okay, guys. They will ask you about any other, and this is my CV, guys. يعني CV يعني in this format, education, position, employment history, research interests, why my selected publication, and a CV of my co-PI. Is it useful, guys? Is it useful? Okay, guys, so
I'm glad many people are saying yes, it is very useful. It is great information. Thank you so much, doctor. So I think many people appreciate your time and your effort in explaining in detail, and they are very happy. I think all of us will learn a lot from it, because most of us are PhD students, and professionally, we need to know how to write a good proposal for us to get a grant in the future. I think we will still entertain 1 or 2 questions. If you guys need any clarification, feel free to put it in the chat box or just raise your hand, and I can unmute you and you can ask your question directly.
Yes, please. If you have any question, you can ask me. And also, guys, I will share the PowerPoint presentation, and I can share with you this proposal. يعني this proposal already يعني almost finished. So I can share it with you. So you can use it as a model for you when you write your proposal. So reading proposals, reading previously funded proposal will give you a great hint, guys. Yes, I had someone who raised his hand. Yes, please go ahead. Ask your question.
Okay, hello, Doctor. Thanks a lot for the informative session. So I'm from engineering background. I just want to know, can we include some sort of an image of a device that we want to use in a research, and can we include that figure? Like it's a big figure, almost a page. Can we include it in an application for a research grant?
Yes, you can. Is it in, what is the purpose of this figure? Is it in your methodology section or background?
So the purpose is like we want to measure some contaminant flux in groundwater, and for this we are going to use a device, a combination of 2 devices. So for that, for them to use it, need some sort of a setup. So we have this figure which has A means the complete setup, B means 1 portion, C means, and something like this. So it's a complete figure of 1 page. Is it fine to?
Yes, always use figures. You need to explain first in text, and you can refer to this figure for clarification. I give you a hint previously in this early in this presentation. I ask you to visualize things. So 1 figure might tell more than 1,000 words.
Okay.
So yes, I use figures. Usually I use figures, guys, to visualize, especially in the methodology section or even in the background section. It's very helpful to have a figure. I'm a reviewer, guys. I review many applications from different agencies. So usually, as a reviewer, you will help me if you show me a visual figure instead of reading 10 pages I can read one page. I can, I can have a look at one page and get an idea, and I can check if your idea or check if your methodology is appropriate or not based on this figure.
Thank you, Doctor.
You are welcome. Any other questions, guys? Still, guys, if you have any questions, you can send me an email. If you need any, even when you write your proposal, guys, if you want any help, especially some people ask about the budget. When you write your budget and budget justification, but I don't know in all the fields, guys, because it's a discipline specific. So, but I can check. I still can check your especially the budget part or any section that you want me to check to give you some feedback if you write a proposal.
Yeah, it seems as we don't have any question right now, and we already exceed the time, but I think it really worth the time because we learn a lot from it, and you were very nice, and you give us the platform that we can contact you if we need any further help via email or. And guys, I think this is a great opportunity. Not everyone will give you this platform to contact them after the after the workshop. After the
you are most welcome.
Okay, so that being the case, I think if you don't have any other thing to say, Doctor, probably.
Yeah, I thank you for attending this workshop. I can share with you, I think, Mustafa, I have your email, so I can share with you the PowerPoint presentation. I can share with you also this grant application. So you can share it with you. You have access to the students and participants?
Yes, because at the end of the day, I will have all the attendance in a Excel file, so I can easily access all of them.
Yeah, that's great. So I will send you this grant application, and also I'll share with you the PowerPoint presentation, so you can share with them. So I know some parts of the presentation, I had to go very quick because I know a lot of information and the session only 1.5 hours. Although we already give you one extra half an hour. Okay,
yes,
thank you so much.
That's very nice. And guys, if you, I think maybe after a day, maybe by Sunday, if you guys need a PowerPoint or anything, you can just contact me, then I can easily share it with you. Inshallah.
Okay, thank you so much, and see you on another workshop, inshallah.